Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and this is Charlie, and today we're going to be talking about the Booker Prize.
So today, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Booker, our Booker predictions / wish list / all things Booker. So is that right, Charlie?
It sounds about right. I want to give some thoughts in any case.
Yes, and then you can basically, we're going to maybe talk about our top 6 books, our Charlie science predictions, and do they understand what we mean when we say that?
Well, they ought to, but if they are complete plebs, what people need to understand is that Charlie has ranked the books and Charlie has ranked the books. And like Eurovision, we have attributed numbers to each of these books based on our rankings, which has given us a
Score
system. And we used this during the Women's Prize and predicted 5 out of 6 on the shortlist.
We did.
And so we're using it again.
Yes, we are. And then also we'll say what we actually think is going to be on there. So one of those two lists, hopefully, between those two lists, we'll have some right.
I mean, I think we're going to get them all right. Because, well, personally, I just think that if the judges haven't followed our way of thinking, then they clearly just don't understand public opinion.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they've got it all wrong. If we are wrong, they are wrong. No.
Exactly.
Yes, that is right.
Because we are right.
Yeah, we are right. So it's our way or the highway.
Exactly. That is the entire way I've lived my life.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do it from across the left.
For me, I think, I don't know whether I've talked about it already, but for the first 130 so pages of Glory, I wasn't actually that invested in it. But then there was the introduction of a character, and I spent ages reading the first 130 pages, and after a fortnight, this character was introduced, and I ended up actually reading the final 300 or so pages in a day because I found it a bit of an engrossing read then. And I think that the latter 3/4 of this book very much make up for what I didn't necessarily care for in the beginning.
Yeah. So I've only just read 50 pages and I'm still not like, I like it, and I am like, because I trust what you're saying. So I remember you saying that you weren't really into it until you got to the 150 page sort of thing. So yeah, at the moment I am not hating it, but I'm not like loving it. So and
yeah, I think that that's I think there are a few things that needed improving in Glory. As much as I cared for the earlier book by the author, and as much as I did end up liking the writing in it, I think that she didn't necessarily lean into having the characters all be animals as much as she could have done. And there were instances where I found myself reminded of the film, which I think in Britain was released as Zootopia, but in America was Zootropolis.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's a Disney film.
Insert picture on screen.
Yeah, somewhere. Dealing with like corruption in the police force and what have you, and in local government. And that's all told with animals. And I feel like, as much as I enjoyed the writing in this Disney film might have actually done that plot a bit better.
So I can't wait to actually like properly get into it. But yeah, I'm not like running back to it, but we'll see. Okay, next one is trust. As we already know my thoughts, because I already said it in my last video. So you've got some more thoughts on this.
Oh, how much of Trust have you read?
I read all of it. I told you. I think as we talked
about you read Trust. Oh, right. Maybe I did.
In the last video.
You know me, I forget things. I'm not as good a friend as you are. Actually really enjoying it. I read 60 pages this morning, and
which is a lot to go read in one go.
Yeah, I wanted to prepare myself for this video, but I just found it again somewhat interesting. I found it a bit compulsive, and to me, it was a bit like, well, the 2 books that I read recently from the Booker Prize have both reminded me of A Christmas Carol by Dickens in different ways. This one, so far, felt like reading the meteoric rise of Ebenezer Scrooge. He's very much a miser. It doesn't really care for all of going out and drinking and partying and socializing. And so that part, I was like, oh, well, this is what he sounds like. But it also already seems to be talking about money corrupts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then we have the introduction of this woman who's going to become his wife.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I also found myself reminded of The Magician that I read by Comte Bin, and I really like that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a style that I lean towards more in recent times than before, where it's a bit slower paced.
And it's kind of lots of it's kind of meta as well. There's lots of like deeper meanings and things like that, which I just don't think I had the patience for whatever reason or another. I just nothing about this like really, like there was parts, and it's not nothing, that's a bit harsh. I did enjoy parts of it, but not like, yeah, nothing about it really pulled me too much, like I would say, for me personally.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I'm talking about this metafictional narrative like I've read the entire thing so far. At the moment, I'm hopeful, but I was also hopeful when I read Case Study, and Case fell apart for me in the end. So
I don't think this will. I think this has a different. I haven't read all of Case Study, but yeah,
I'm keeping my hopes up with it, and I've enjoyed
it. Like it.
Yeah.
Next one is The Trees, which we both read in a day.
We didn't read it in a day, Charlie. We read it in a few hours. Yeah, I started it in the afternoon. You started it like
I started it.
Yeah, so we just flew through this one.
And I think lots of people, I think this is what, like, in terms of like the viewers, people watching, like, I think this is like apart from a few things which we'll talk about in a second, I think this is like loads of people will love this book. Like, this has got kind of universal appeal, I would say.
I think with this, for me, this read like a standard thriller, and I know that we talked about this. I said about being reminded of Almore Leonard when I started the book. That stuck throughout the entire thing. The short chapters, the almost buddy cops within the narrative.
I love those two police officers. Two police officers, Jim and I've got all my notes.
Ed.
And Ed, yeah. And I loved this book. I loved the thing I didn't like about it was the fact that names are offensive, and they are. And to the point of ridiculousness as well. Like, they're offensive and they're ridiculous, but that aside, if you can put that aside, which obviously some people might not be able to put that aside, I just love this book. I just like because my first impression of this was I was thinking it was going to be a bit dull, and I think it said about Granny C, and actually we found out afterwards. I was like, we found out who Granny C was, which I don't want to spoil, but
yeah,
it would be quite a spoiler. But yeah, once it made sense, this book was just like, I just thought this was brilliant. This is like, now it's like one of my faves. Like, I
would say to go to Kieran's review of this to find out some of the names, though.
No, I know, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I think
offensive. But all the characters, though, there's like literally every character was almost like, the names were almost like caricature names. Like, there was like, all of them. Like, there's like, because there's the Reverend Dr. Fondle, who's a coroner. So it's like, do you know what I mean? And then there's like, but yeah, so
it's like I say, I think it is just, if you like detective fiction, I think you'll like it. If you like thrillers, I'll think you'll like it. I don't think it's the most well-written book that I've ever read, but it was incredibly fast-paced, and I think that
I want to read more of Percival Everett's books. I didn't realise he's written over 30 books. We said this. No, he's got written over 30 books. So he's got quite a catalogue to go back to. Well, to me, anyway.
No, that's the thing. I said to you about when I read the book, for me, it was a one and done type book. Yeah. Like, I like the experience of reading it, but now that I'm finished, like, there's nothing propelling me to go and read anything more by the author. There's nothing to reread this. I liked it, but it was well done.
The messages were strong, like a lot of them, like the deep like messages it has about. I think like it's quite strong about obviously like teaching us about the history of lynching in America and the lynchings in America, and yeah, it has a very powerful message. And but then I guess because it doesn't take it so seriously, maybe that is at jeopardy to the. That puts that the silliness of some of it might put the message at jeopardy. Would you say? Would it? Well, I don't know. Is that true?
I think that you can.
It's satire. This is where you understand.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that you can see the severity of a situation through satire and comedy anyway.
Yeah.
And a lot of comedy that I've liked in the past has discussed a lot of very serious issues.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't necessarily think that Everett did it too well in this book, because I do think some of the times what he was trying to say was lost in trying to make a joke
Yeah,
or
that's what I mean. Yeah.
what have you. I also think that the fast pace of the book sometimes meant that what he was trying to say got lost.
Yeah, that's what,
you were rushing through it almost.
I can see that. I can see that.
As much as there are some very serious, dark moments within the book, and I don't mind everything being delivered with this almost corpse-like humor. Sometimes I did wish that this book had just delved in a bit harder into the themes and into what the author wanted to say.
That as well. I can see that. I can see what you're saying completely. Yeah, but yeah, overall, I think this will be one that I can imagine this being a favourite by lots and lots of people.
Oh, definitely. I think that
it might be one that splits opinion for the reasons we mentioned as well, like we said. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'll get out the next one. Next one is Booth by Karen Joy Fowler, which neither of us had either. I don't think we've changed our opinions on since the last video.
No, I haven't read any more of further than the 50 pages that I'd read last time. And at the moment, this is currently standing as one. If it makes the shortlist, I'd read. Yeah. But at the moment, I have no drive to pick it up anymore.
I might go back to it because I was what I said. I said this to you. Like I was watching Peta from Comfy Cozy Up, and I'll link her video in the description because she's got loads and loads of book reviews, and she was saying how much she loved this book. So she's kind of like sold me enough that I want to give it another shot. So I might I've got it on my audio book. So when I've got the time, and if I'm not feeling too sleepy, I will. I'll probably give it another try. So yeah. At the moment, though, it's kind of bottom of our pile. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? Right. Next one is Treacle Walker by Alan Garner.
I think that the more I hear people not get this book, the more defensive I get of the book. Yeah. I also find it quite funny when people are talking about archaic language and the like, and sometimes they're words that we use every day in Cheshire. But I have to say,
which is quite offensive to you.
I have a lot of older relatives, or have had, and whilst I'm not part of the farming community, I've known it very well my entire life, and a lot of this language is still used. So it could just be a me thing. I'm not like reclaiming the dialect or anything, but I do have to remember sometimes that the words that might be everyday parlance for me might not be for everybody else.
That's why, because I remember you said last time in our video, you said about calling it quite regional, didn't you? You said so.
Yeah, and I'd still say that. I think it's a very particular region, and I think it's very fitting for the age. But similar to another book I read recently, I do particularly like the playfulness in language in here, and I do think that it's one of those, and will maintain to say to people that when you're reading it, you have to read it without trying to understand everything going on in the world and just go along for the adventure. And I think that going along for the adventure without questioning everything that's going on in the world will actually make you enjoy it a bit more.
So my cat's just come.
Yeah, I realised.
Let's see in the video. Right. So I don't really have any new thoughts on it. Like I said, I like it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favourite, but it's like sort of middle of the pile for me. Like, that's fair for me to say. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't hate it. It didn't offend me. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a fave. So yeah. The next one is The 7 Moons of Maali Almeida. And the reason I'm going funny is because I fucking love this book so much. So, right, go on.
I'm only 100. Let me check. I've got to the 3rd moon. I picked up the wrong book. I've got to the 3rd moon, so 170 pages into this one, and I am very much enjoying this. I am reminded of Beetlejuice. I'm reminded of all.
Someone else said about Beetlejuice. Who did I watch that said about reference Beetlejuice?
I don't know. I've not watched anything about this book yet.
No, it was I was watching Fraser from Fraser
Right.
and he said that Shelley had said that Sherry Swearingen, which again I'll link in the comments down below, that had said that it was like Beetlejuice. So someone else said that reference.
It's the fact that they're talking about the way the bodies look after death. It's the woman who has ended up with something happening to her skin after death. It's the
I haven't watched that
bureaucracy surrounding it. This is the other book where I found myself reminded of A Christmas Carol in the way that Maali goes back and is, well, firstly, the name, but that just might be my Western pronunciation of it, and the fact that he's having to go back and look at what's happened in his recent past and the present and going even further into the past. And it's this way of building the character, telling the story, and also telling the story of the country that they inhabit, as well as managing
it's so clever. I just think it's sort of, it's got the humor. It like for things like My Charlie Catnip is like something that's sort of going to teach me something, which I know people, like other people have said, it doesn't go hard into the Sri Lankan history, but like it still taught me about the tigers, I can't remember what the letters are,
LTTE.
Yeah. Which I'd never heard of before, and I went back and googled loads of stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's just like obviously the brutal times that obviously this is like written in, and I just think it's really like, but there's something about him that I liked, so yeah.
I don't know whether it's necessarily about liking a character as recognizing a flawed character, and like there's an honesty to the fact that this character
some sort of like
has
connection
flaws in life. But if you did want to read more about Sri Lankan history in this period, I do recommend Roma Tearne.
Oh, okay.
Specifically Brixton Beach, because that's the one I've read, but I know that she does discuss Sri Lankan history a fair bit in her books.
I just think, the writing style, I don't know, like I don't know what it was, but it's sort of like something about it. Like I said, I hadn't really been reading very much, and this was like one of the first books that kind of got me back into it's not out of a reading slump, but it was one of the first books I read when I was getting back into reading, and therefore I sort of like got even more attachment to it, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, this book, I just sped through it. Like I obviously didn't read through it as quickly as the trees, but in a way that was it's better for it, because I feel like
I think it's definitely got a lot of different angles at this book, and I haven't read it as quickly as we say as the trees, but also I wouldn't want to with this.
That's exactly what
I do like there's so much within the writing again, which I don't think is, like, as I say, no criticism to the trees, but that is very forward, whereas this has some very great language and stuff to mull over.
I think it's just really clever. I just think, I liked it a lot, obviously. Anyway, the next one is Small Things Like These. I think we know that, I think both of our opinions haven't changed, I would say, on this one.
Same as they were.
Charlie isn't that grabbed by it, whereas I feel like,
no, it's like I say, it's in a sense kind of like Christmas special type book to me. It's nothing bad, nothing exceptionally good. I didn't hate it, but didn't necessarily wholeheartedly adore it either.
Whereas I loved it. But it still wasn't actually like, I loved it, but there are actually other ones that now since then have risen slightly higher, because I guess maybe because when you're like dissecting it, you have to sort of, because I do still rate with my heart, but it has like fallen down the pack a little bit more than I would have expected. Okay. Right. Case study.
My opinion hasn't changed on that one. I still think that the author didn't necessarily set out to achieve what they wanted to achieve. I still think that they didn't land the ending, and I like the writing, but I don't necessarily care for the direction that it took.
And I haven't read any more of it because I had to take it back to the library, and then there was a whole story about that, which I won't talk about, so it'll be boring. But yeah, so I'm going to try and get it back up from the library. I've reserved it, so if it does get onto the short list, I will obviously read it. But if it doesn't get on the short list, this is one I probably will skip. But actually, I said that one of my subscribers said they loved it, so actually, no, I do want to read it. No, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It was one of my lovely subscribers, and they said that how brilliant and how much they loved it. So I'm like, no, I'm going to try and give it a shot. Because I do listen to you guys.
I don't.
They are not your subscribers. They might be. Some of them might be. Quite a lot of them.
They won't want to be after this.
Yeah, they will be. Charlie's brilliant. Charlie's channel is always linked below. Always. Practically every video. The next one is The Colony by Audrey Magee. I finished this one since we last spoke.
Do you still think it was milk?
I liked it more than milk. I think I said to you, what did I say? I think I said it was like a rich tea biscuit. Which you don't.
Yes, I remember you saying this now. I told you rich tea biscuits I do not like.
And, yeah, Charlie doesn't like rich tea biscuits, which is probably is quite appropriate for this.
But to be fair, to be somebody who's not consumed sugar since 2019, it's probably not that big of a loss, really.
I liked it. I liked The Colony. I ended up liking it more than I did to start with, and actually the latter half I read in more quick succession, which I think probably benefited my experience of reading it, obviously, rather than reading it so sporadically. But it didn't shine as highly as I would have wanted to. And because again, with this one, it had so much, both of us thought it was going to be like our favourite. So I think some of the disappointment comes from being let down from that.
I mean, look at how much I talked about this vendetta that my library had against me. And now I'm saying to everybody, I don't think they had a vendetta. I think my library was trying to say to read this, because my goodness, I just think that it missed the mark on so many levels. It tried to do something and completely failed. And I think
some of the writing was beautiful in it. I do think. Yeah, I did think there was.
I just disagree. I really find it quite generic.
I didn't think it was generic. I think and also I listened to this by audio, which I think did give it an extra.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that if you listen to the audiobook, it's much better than reading the physical thing.
Yeah, I have a mixed experience with this, and I don't know whether I'm really rating it fairly because of the way I read it.
Yeah.
But no, I might go back and reread this at some point. I would actually.
I will not.
Yeah, no.
I will not reread this. I don't want to read anything by the author. Sure. Goodbye, Audrey. Goodbye, The Colony. No. Hard pass. Goodbye, Tearne. Sell off your paints. I'm out.
Oh, okay. We'll move on to the next one. The next one is my biggest surprise from this list. Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer.
I haven't
finished it, but I'm more than 60% in, 65%.
Yeah, I've only read. Did I put a bookmark in? I can tell you where I am. I'm on page 15, and
so you need to read more of it to get.
No, I know that I need to read more to get a proper idea. I know that. I don't disagree with that, but I just wanted to have a taste of what they were all going to be like before I came here. And at the moment, I have hopes for the book, but it's also proven to be a bit too sentimental in its first 15 pages. And I don't really tend to go in for sentimentality, as we know, as the type of human being that I am. And I can tell from reading it that the writer has had experience with this before, but at the moment, similar to what I said about The Colony, I haven't read anything new from the writing. This seems standard cancer fiction fare.
But with the voice of cancer, I would disagree. So I feel that's what changes it a little bit.
You see,
just a little bit.
I'm not so sure, because so far the experimentation in the writing, and this might change as I read further, has felt very much like student of creative writing, trying to have these voices battle it out. Now I know that you've read something where I also used a character that wasn't necessarily a character. And I know that this comes with its difficulties, and you've got to have a suspension of disbelief for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But there was something going on when I first read that voice where I was like, no. And it might change as I read more and I figure out just how this voice has come to gain some of the knowledge that it's got. But at the moment, I've not been able to suspend my disbelief enough for the voice of Cancer, and also the character who's just being told her diagnosis, Leah, has done very typical things as we've seen presented in fiction and film. So at the moment, it's just not there yet for me. It might be as I get further in, but at the moment it's not.
So for me, my thoughts on this, look, has like kind of knocked me for six. Is that a good phrase?
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay. It's knocked me for six. It surprised me. Like, I do think I've had moments when I've been reading the Cancer narrative that I think I've messaged you and said to you, like, it hasn't always worked for me. Like, as it's sort of like, obviously, as the Cancer's progressing through her, it's sort of like gaining power, and it's almost like it is changing as well. The voice feels like it's sort of changing a little bit as well. And so there are moments where I feel like it works, and moments where it's kind of annoyed me, but I feel like maybe that's purposeful. So, but the actual heart of this book, I just think this is a great, like, I'm going to say it, I think this is a great women's fiction. Like, this is just, I love the heart of it, the family, the Harry and Leah, Harry's Leah's husband, and the daughter, which is Iris. And the daughter, I think, is a similar age to my daughter, which I don't know if that sort of like adds to it. So I just think it's really good. It's really grabbed me. I've been writing notes on my phone as I've been doing this, and literally, like, after, well, I'll show you, like, it's literally, well, you can't.
No, I can see.
Look, and it's like, basically I've got loads, and you can't see, but it's a lot. I've written, like, every time there's like a quote that I love, I write it down, and I just feel like it's just captured my heart. And this might even nudge, like, at the moment I haven't finished it, so that's why I haven't rated this as my number one, but this could not knock my number one out off the top spot, because that's how much I love it. Yeah, I don't know whether it could do that. No, not of our top spot, but like in terms of like my top spot. Yeah, for me, I'm keeping an open mind when it comes to this book. Yeah. At the moment, it's going to have to do a lot to impress me writing wise, and I can see that. I can 100% as well. I want to say that this one, this is going to be on the Women's Prize next year. There's literally no. I thought that as well. Yeah. This could even win. Like this, I would want this to win the Women's Prize. I'm calling it for the winner for next year's Women's Prize. There you go. Okay. And we'll probably be reading that together. So hopefully it is on there, because then at least we've read some of the long list beforehand. Yeah. I don't think I could go ahead and reread this, because this is book. I already feel like, as I'm messaging people, I'm saying this is starting to break me. Like, it's really like, I messaged my friends and my friends and my family about it, and they're like, just stop reading it. And it's like, no, I can't stop reading it. But I'm not rushing through it like I did the treaties, because I don't think, again, that it works like that. But it's just, oh my gosh, this is just such a powerful book. And I think her writing's brilliant. So for me, this is like up there. Anyway, next one on the list is Nightcrawling, which both of us have got. I think I've got more thoughts on it now, because I've obviously. Yeah, you actually finished the book. I didn't finish the book, and this has become another one that if it makes it to the shortlist, then I might go back to. But I just think that the publicity surrounding the writer's age overtook the actual book, and the hype is what has sold this book so well, because I think that the writer has a lot of work to do in terms of writing to actually write a better crafted narrative. Yeah, for me, like, so obviously the first half I struggled to read, but obviously I was struggling to read, as we already said. The last bit I dedicated some time to, and I was really, really trying to get through it. And I do think her writing is good, actually. I do think I can see what you're saying about all those things. I do think her writing is good.
There was something related to a popular children's fiction series from when we were both younger that was referenced within this book.
Yes. And then, yeah, and it just like turned me off. It was only one reference, but it turned me off a bit. So therefore, but then the whole like
you actually made it to the reference.
Sorry?
You made it to the reference. I gave up before that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fed up of this person who likes skateboarding, and that's how we know they're a character. I'm fed up of this person being a rapper, and that's how we know who they are as a character. People have personalities outside of their interests, and unfortunately, Leila Mottley fell into this very beginner writers thing of giving everybody an activity or an interest in order to give them a character, not recognizing that you have to fully form characters. And
but like Trevor was a properly formed character to me, in terms of Trevor, because I feel like maybe in the latter half of the book that you didn't read, Trevor did get developed slightly more. Trevor is
Kiara,
out of it.
you know, like this is a testament that I didn't care for this book, that I can't even remember the characters' names.
The lead characters, like, I felt, yeah, I was excited.
But like, like the plot that was supposed to happen when I quit this book had not yet happened, and there was only about 120 pages for this.
That's what I actually said to you, actually. So actually, even if I've cut like, right, but yeah, the ending happened too quick for me. So regardless of like, there were other things that irked me about this book, but the ending happened too quickly for me.
It's like the author was trying to find herself in the first 150 pages, and then inserted a plot into the story to try and find this, and then like, oh, this is what we need. But I think the story needed more drafting, maybe remove a few characters, and maybe apply more focus to the tale.
I liked it. I didn't love it, and there were certain things that annoyed me. And like I said, overall, I think she's a good writer. I definitely think she's a good writer. But
I said that as well. Yeah. I said that in future, a few books down the line, I'll definitely read her. I just don't think that she's there yet. But the age that she is, to have achieved what she's achieved, fantastic. I'm not taking that away from her. But I think that writing-wise, she's just got a bit of time before she gets there.
So the next book is After Sappho. So have you started this? You said you started it.
I've started this. I've not got a bookmark in.
Oh dear.
But I am 23 pages into this one. I've read 2 of the chapters, and I quite like the fragmentary style of it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something else that I read years ago, but I can't remember what the book was. But I find myself like, once I finished a few more of the books and I go back to it, I could see me rather enjoying this one.
This is a strong one for me. I feel like I chomp and change how I feel about this depending on the day that you talk to me about it, being honest. I feel like because I have really strong memories, really good memories in it, but I've also got memories where it felt like it dragged, etc. So yeah, I think overall as fiction, like I said, it didn't 100% work for me, but I can see why people would love it, and I did enjoy it. So this is middle of the pack for me again, like this one. So yeah. Anyway, the last one on the list is, we've got 2 minutes. The last one on the list is Oh William. And
well, I read this at the start of the year. My opinion hasn't changed. I'm still very fond of Elizabeth Strout as a writer. What did you think?
I finished this after we spoke, and again, this was one of the ones that I got to that kind of got me out of my reading slump, and I really, really like this actually, and to the point where I do want to go back and like, I want to read all of Elizabeth Strout's books, which I don't think, because obviously this is the second one I've read. I haven't actually read the short story collection, which I do feel like I need to. I feel like I want to own the 3 books and then sort of like start again with them physically, because the audio book I don't think didn't work as well for me as reading it physically. So I don't know why, but that could just be the narrator or whatever, or the times I was reading it in. So yeah, I really like this one. I don't know whether it'll, like, in terms of the shortlist, I don't think it's strong enough to make the shortlist, but I loved it. So yeah. Right, so now is the time for the Charlie science portion of our predictions of the video.
This is more our scientific predictions, where we've added together how you've ranked them, and we've added together how I've ranked them, similar to your revision, to give us a top 6 based on our ranking. So it's not necessarily my top 6 and your top 6. It's a top 6 generated because of both of our top 6s.
We've got quite opposite tastes in some.
We have. They're very opposing this time around, but I don't think.
I think our number 1 currently is the same, and our 13th book is exactly the same. But apart from that, everything else is
way out there, which I think works for the women's prize, but I don't necessarily think. Well, because as we know, our books from 3 to 6 were all tied with the same number.
Yeah, so this is why. So we go. So we'll say our top 6, and then afterwards we'll work out our actual predictions, and then let you know, guys. Let them know that as well. So, do you want to say your number 6?
Yeah. So in at number 6 we have The Trees by Percival Everett.
Yeah. But yeah.
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 I think.
Are you okay with this being on our shortlist? Not really.
For me, well, it's one of those where this year I did think that a thriller would make it onto the long list, and I'm fine with this being the thriller that makes it on.
I'm not sure whether this actually will make the shortlist, but we'll get back to that when we do our actual prediction. Yeah. I love this one. So if this was on the shortlist, I'd be happy. Number 5 is Oh William.
Yeah, I'd be happy if this was on the shortlist.
I'd be happy. I love it.
I don't know whether it will be.
It won't be. It can't be. Surely. Wait, well,
I don't know. We don't know. We're not judges. Well, we are judges. We're not official judges. That's the sad part. Because if we were, all the good books would win.
Yes, we are the 2 Charlies, which is power enough.
Yeah, Charlie and Charlie, avarice and greed. In at number 4, we have maps of our spectacular bodies,
which I'm very happy for being on this list.
And I could be, as I say, like, you know, when I read more of this book and I get further in, there could be a huge change of heart, and I'll thoroughly adore it.
Yes, we could do. You never know. Okay, number 3 is Glory.
I would be thrilled by this.
Yes, I would be okay with this at the moment.
But then at the same time, as I say, I found issues with it, but I did like that the author tried a bit of experimentation, but it's similar to Maps, really. And if I gave Maps that criticism, and I have to apply it here, I don't necessarily think that she did it well enough.
I think as well with this one, because there's quite a lot of themes running through these books in terms of like the wackiness element, the sort of the dark element, and I think Glory has quite a few of the threads that are similar to other books, so I can see this being on the shortlist.
It has been a big year for discussing politics, and also some absurd, surreal storytelling.
Yeah. So I think that ticks quite a few of the boxes on this list for that. Anyway, number 2 is Treacle Walker.
I was shocked that Treacle Walker made it so highly on our list after we read it.
I think that shows you how disparaging our list is.
Yeah, and I think that it shows how much thoughts might have changed. And I will admit that at points I decided that actually, if I was going to rank these books, it's based on more my opinion of the books and how I felt with the book. So it less became about where I thought they would end up and more about
this is all heart. This is a heart, isn't it? Sort of.
Which is how Treacle Walker ended up being so highly rated by me.
I didn't dislike it. I liked it. So therefore, Yeah.
It does do a lot that I like in fiction. So I was very pleased.
This is our number 2 though on the list, which is.
Oh, I was very shocked that it was our number 2. I didn't think it was going to make our
6
list at all.
But we'll see what we do for the actual predictions.
Yeah.
And then our number 1, which I don't think it will be a surprise necessarily if you listen to the thoughts we had, is it me that says this? Yes.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah. Our number 1 is 7 Moons of Maali Almeida. And both of us ranked this as our number 1 currently.
Yeah. For me, as I said when we were discussing our thoughts on it, Similar to Treacle Walker, but it's doing a lot of what I like to see in fiction, and I very much liked the way that everything has been done so far. Has been very well.
It's just brilliant. It's like, anyway, apart from, like, I feel like this book is quite a long way ahead of some of, for me, a long way ahead of some of
definitely
for what it does.
For me, this was like the clear
standout
in terms of things. I mean, at the moment, I'm still reading Trust, and the writing in this, I have got through it faster than I've got through Seven Moons, and I have enjoyed what I have read so far.
Yeah.
But to me, kind of Seven Moons is just so.
We want this to win. That this is at the moment
vibrant.
Can I say that we want this to win at the moment? Like, this is like at the moment, like as it stands, if depending on what else we read, like this is like, I want this to, I think this is our favourite, our Charlie favourite, a unanimous Charlie favourite currently.
Definitely. Well, clearly. Clearly. We've only had 2 unanimous decisions here, and they have been Seven Moons and Booth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our personal Charlie science predictions, and then now we're gonna I'm gonna press pause on the filming element, and then we're gonna work out what we've got for our actual predictions. Yeah.
Okay.
So, right, we've done our putting our heads together.
After some deliberation.
And it was a lot of deliberations about one particular we weren't quite sure about, but yeah. So it'd be no surprise we'll say our top one, because I think they're no surprise really. Yeah, I think that's more. So the one what we actually think will be on the list.
Yes, these are books that we are predicting will be there.
Yeah.
We haven't used any science.
No.
We haven't used any crystal balls. No. We have not looked into the future. No. We have discussed this, and these are the books that we believe deserve to be on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay. Yeah. So so do you want me to say the first one and then you said the second one, blah, blah, blah. Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So the first one is the one we both love the most, which is obviously The Seven Moons of Maali Almeida.
Yeah. The second is Glory by NoViolet Bulawayo.
The third is Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer.
The fourth is After Sappho by Selby Wynne Schwartz.
And then it's Trust by, I can't remember the name of the author.
Hernan Diaz.
You didn't say the name of the author of Moons, actually. I'm sorry.
And the author of Moons is Shehan Karunatilaka.
Yes.
Then we have The Trees by Percival Everett.
Yes, that is our.
That is what we want to see on the shortlist.
You've seen to be on the shortlist.
What we predict to be on the shortlist with no scientific intervention.
We nearly put The Colony. The one that didn't make our top 6 is The Colony, but because I still think this has got a high shot of being on the shortlist, but it didn't quite make it. So.
It's because we saw that the theme. Well, I thought the themes were done better elsewhere. Yeah. And I bullied Charlie into putting.
No, Charlie never bullies anything. Charlie's. I agree. Like it was like, what else could we couldn't we couldn't justifiably get rid of another book in order to keep The Colony on there.
Yeah, there was some we could just throw out immediately, that you wouldn't necessarily make it on, but these are the ones that we would definitely want to see on the shortlist. And if they're not on the shortlist, we won't riot, but we will question the taste level of the judges until the winner.
This is surely these are the shortlist. This is the shortlist. Yeah.
It better be.
So thank you so much for coming on my channel. This has been a long morning filming, and talking and all that, we've had lots and lots of fun, as always. And yeah. Sending. Have you got any last final thoughts for the? To sum up,
all I'm going to say is that everyone should wish Charlie all the best when it comes to the editing of this video, and I'm so glad that I don't have to do it.
Not till next week, because next week, you guys, we'll be back with our Charlie's going to post our live.
We're going to be reacting to the surprise shortlist as it happens, and I'm hoping for some more screams, some more facial predictions. We are gonna be meme worthy.
So excited for it. Let us know what your guys' shortlist predictions and wish lists. Let us know what your favourites are. Chat all things Booker in the comments below. Yeah, excited to talk about it. And see you guys soon. Sending you lots of love. Goodbye.
Shook.